Great. So thank you for talking to us here at SBC Leaders. We're joined by Elen Barber, CMO at Kindred. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Luke.
Good stuff. So if we get straight into it, I don't want to talk too much about looking back on 2020 because obviously everyone's trying to move a bit past it. But just from the outside, Kindred as a company seems to have come through it pretty well. How would you say? What would you say you've done well? How have you navigated the challenges you've had?
I think 2020 was an interesting experience for all of us and all companies across the world. We've learned a lot of things and new skills, new ways of working. So it's definitely something worth remembering for the future. So when it comes to Kindred, there were multiple factors contributing to the success. Diversity of our brand and product portfolio, I think it's one of them. If you look on the other side, it is an enormous task to successfully maintain, develop, and evolve the really wide brand product portfolio that we have. But especially if you overlay it with the complex regulatory framework in each market that we present. But 2020 gave us a completely different perspective on that. On this challenge, because it really turned our challenge into competitive advantage, or in general advantage. We saw that poker and casino gambling and other products compensated for the temporary loss in sportsbook. Not just during the spring, but also how this revenue we have managed to maintain throughout the majority of 2020, and it's definitely positively contributed to the future selection of product that customer continue playing afterwards. I think it's a very important factor to remember, that we've all seen in multiple reports how popular esports became during that time, and a lot of customers has never heard of this product before. And the product in general is very selected. It's selected by, it's played by selected players that just they're trying something different. But again, during the pandemic, when the variety of offering was completely sort of cut down to nothing, customers decided to try, and they loved it and continue playing even after when sports started to come back. And poker has got back to the levels that it hasn't reached in years, and it's a product that everyone has been slowly forgetting and not focusing over the years. So customers discovered Belarusian leagues that carried on playing throughout the pandemic, something that no one has heard of before. But I think what is important to mention here is that going back to 2019, because it was a transformational year for Kindred, and it played a vital role in how Kindred has performed in 2020. Because it was a very challenging year in terms of the financial performance, but the learnings that we took from that year contributed to the effective, to our effective and efficient performance in 2020. We didn't leave any single stone unturned when working on efficiencies and effectiveness, and we were 100% prepared for anything that might come in the future. Obviously, we didn't expect the pandemic to happen, and no one did. But it was an important lesson, and one of the examples that I share with my peers is that we've in over the previous year, especially in 2019, we've completed the upgrade and transformation of our CS technology and equipment, and that allows us to transition to for CS team to work remotely from home without any downtime. I'm not aware there are any organization that managed to do it seamlessly without affecting the customer, and we've seen it on our CSAT levels that has remained on a high level and actually kept on going up. But also the customer behavior has changed a lot during the 2020. People were a bit more tolerant. They were kinder to things. So I think it had some positive effect on how we interact with the customers. Data, I think it's important. Data is a vital part of every marketing organization, and how we used it in the pandemic was crucial to the success. So if if data is interpreted correctly, it can give you lots of marketing insights. And we as a company put customer in the heart and the center of everything we do. So when it comes to marketing communication, even though we were in the middle of pandemic, we couldn't compromise on that value. And we didn't want just to send communication about other products to customers that they wouldn't consider relevant. So we looked for the insights that could help us to introduce our sports customers to the alternative products. If they had any previous interactions, they literally browsed the product. If they experienced playing maybe the free spins over a certain period of time, or just in general tried one of our sort of new slots, anything that any insight that can show that this customer particularly might be interested into cross-selling for the other product. Otherwise, there is no need, there is no necessity to cross-sell this customer, and it would have significantly, I think, more negative effect on the database.
Just in terms of the insights you get from your customers, what are some of the more popular ones that you've seen more recently in terms of how they cross-sell between products? Is it what you expected, or have you been finding sort of new trends in that?
There is definitely new type of customers that we've seen coming into the industry, into the platform, playing with us. They experienced customers that know the product, and then it's particularly seen in the markets where offline entities have been shut for quite some time. But important factor to mention here is that throughout this period of time, we have continued rigorously monitoring our RG factors. So, and we haven't seen any increase in a number of cases. So yes, there was a good intake of revenue, good intake of customers, and you see in our Q1, Q3 numbers. But important metric that customers were safe. They played, they enjoyed the entertainment, and we've also provided them with tools that allow them to control that experience. Yeah.
So you mentioned.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say. So Kindred's obviously known as a bit of a leader for responsible gambling, and obviously in a time like this, we talk about the cross-selling, and as a company, you need to get people playing across different verticals. But how careful do you have to be, like you said, that you don't see that moving into a situation where it's not safe if you're, trying to advertise to people across different things? What are like the safeguards that you have to bring in?
So we've got an amazing in-house developed technology that allows us to track the customer activity. So from that point, I think we are well prepared. But it's also, from the customer point of view, the relevancy of the communication is extremely important. So as I mentioned earlier, we don't want to push something into the customer that he would consider irrelevant, inappropriate, based on their preferences, because the outcome of it, they will switch to someone else. They will opt out of our communication, and the database is the most important assets that we have. So we definitely want to keep it safe, and we want to make sure that it's not just about the revenue, right? Kindred has always been about providing a safe environment for the customers to play and enjoy gambling. But what we've seen in 2020 was the casino came under massive scrutiny from the regulators across multiple markets. And it was masked, and I'm going to be openly saying that it was, they were saying they're trying to protect the customer, but what looks like a protection in the eye of their regulator is a pain for the operator, potentially better experience for the customer, and I see it as a massive advantage for the black market.
Yeah.
So some of the challenges that we faced, were not, were like deposit limits, spend limits in the casino, and we were given very limited time to implement it. But we also got no support from the regulator when it comes to interpreting the requirement. And if we really think customer centric, and put customer in center of everything we do, and all the restrictions and the journeys and that we build around the customer, this is the key. We all play vital parts here, and we need to have an active, constructive dialogue to make sure that we really protect the customer, and not just put them to not push them to the black. Not forget of the operator to interpret, to protect, and we always end up on the bad side.
I think the first thing I asked you was about how you navigated last year, and I think the first thing you said was to diversify your products. And I think it's interesting because we talk about casino and how casino did well, but then you mentioned like the challenges that you had from the casino side in terms of regulation. So do you think?
Sorry, Luke.
Can you hear me? Sorry. Are you hearing me?
No. It was. Yes, I can hear you now. Okay, so if you can repeat it again.
No, I said the first thing I asked you about how you navigated 2020. I think you said diversify your products, and I think everyone sort of knows that the casinos came out of it pretty well. But then you mentioned obviously about the challenges you had in terms of casino regulation with the loss limits and all that sort of thing. So does that make the lesson that you learn really important in that you have to diversify your products, because while sports may have had a tough time of it last year, it could just as easily be casinos. It could be that esports then gets, hounded out by the regulators next time, virtuals, whatever it is. You need to be prepared and have the best set of products right across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right with this comment. So, and you can't just, it's a great advantage that we have. We have various brands that target different customers. They have a wide range of products that we offer to the customers. But even being in the regulated market doesn't protect us completely from these changes. So we need to be creative. We need to have a good dialogue, as I said, with the regulator. We also need to explore other possibilities that might be interesting with the customers, but really focus on the UX, on the user experience, on the product. And keep on expanding our portfolio and the offering.
I just wanted to ask you about because obviously CMO, you're coming at this from a marketing perspective. I've seen sort of some of your results for last year. I think it's not the full statement yet, but a lot of them are stuff. Some of the stuff you're saying is about reducing marketing spend. But I just wanted to ask that: is that altered how you do things? Is it something that you've seen that means that you can cut different costs going forward? Obviously a lot of people are having to cut out different things last year to sort of keep afloat or keep things going nicely. Have you learned things about different things that perhaps you thought you needed before, but now you don't?
Yes, I think that's sort of overlays with what I've mentioned about 2019, because we did a massive groundwork on preparing ourselves for the future, and and looking into efficiencies and effectiveness, especially when it comes to marketing, was one of them. We looked at the organizational design and how we can improve our delivery model there. But when it comes to sort of talking about the marketing investment, so it's very easy to cut marketing straight away, but what you're going to end up, it will not give you long-term desired effect. As once funds are released back into the media mix, the inefficiencies come back, and this is what happened with a lot of the companies. You can cut it back, but there is that that's a golden point where you still have to keep on spending, have to keep on investing, but probably diversify your investment into the other channels. So for example, based on work really close with Gartner, and based on their survey, they've seen a wide range of companies trying to cut their marketing investment right in the beginning of pandemic, but then realizing that there is still demand, they're still able to spend this marketing money, and they've just diversified and focused on more of a short and medium term investment channels, really looking into the return on marketing, the length of the return of marketing, rather than just completely cutting it. And this is exactly what we did. It was a very clear message and really great communication we had with our commercial team, that we want to keep on investing, but we need to make sure that we don't invest in the areas where we don't see the return, we don't see any sort of quick return or medium return.
Okay, so if I pick up on that point, where are you seeing returns? What is the sort of marketing, the big marketing strategy in 2021?
I think it's 2021. We are heavily investing in sponsorship, so that's one of the sort of big channels and important channels for us, and that strategy will carry on into 2021 and further. And I think it's important to mention that the ability to partner with some sports organization, it's important part for our strategy. Whether it's football clubs or individual athletes or individual sort of sports influencers, and they provide us a unique platform for growth, as a challenger or a market leader, depending on the market. So this will still being our focus when it comes to the channel. But then also, let's not forget about the digital channels and how they contributed, because every channel has a role to play in the media mix. And once one channel is taken away, it will inevitably has an effect on the entire channel. Some of them will sit on the top of the funnel and will really contribute to your brand awareness and your brand consideration, and the other channels will sit at the same time on the top and at the bottom. If you're talking about say programmatic, they will contribute to your brand awareness, but they will also depending on the methodologies and technologies that sort of techniques, strategy that you use, they will also contribute to the conversion when it's used in the retargeting strategies. And if something is taken away, it's a one piece of a puzzle. It has an effect down the line, but digital is an effective way of reaching the right customer, your target audience, and one of the sort of strategies that we've used is how YouTube contribute to the TV and what effect it has on the customer, how you're able to, if combined at the right ratio, right level, what effect it has on reaching your target audience, and customers consider you as a brand that I would like to play in the future. So things like that, I think these are really important. Again, investing into technology, especially when it comes to MarTech, I can talk endlessly about it, but MarTech is one hell of a story. It's a big beast, and it has been evolving for evolving in the last few years. We're talking about hundreds, thousands of small, medium, large companies that constantly pitch you about the sort of benefits they're going to bring you to the business. So, and in the last 2 years, and especially with the focus in the next strategic cycle, we're going to heavily invest into the technologies, especially in MarTech, that will help us to be more customer centric.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned sponsorship, and obviously Kindred's active it's not just the UK, we're talking from the UK, but
Yeah.
you obviously are very active in Europe, the US as well. But if we look at the UK and sponsorship, the threats to this and how it might become more difficult to partner with football teams in terms of kit sponsorships and that sort of thing. What do you think about that? Like, are you prepared for changes in that situation?
I think we are prepared. The impact that this ban might have on Kindred is probably smaller than it will have on the wider community. And I really would like to turn this question, sort of the other way around, because I do believe that it's not the harm that gambling sponsorship brings to the community, but it's actually the positive impact, and what smaller communities, smaller clubs are going to miss out if they don't have this vital investment. Especially we've noticed during the pandemic, right? A lot of clubs weren't able to carry on because they simply haven't got funds. I'm sure Premier League, Champions League, they've got a wide range of sponsors and investors behind them, so they will carry on. But the impact that the impact that the ban will have on the smaller clubs, I think it's going to be crucial. And
well, you're right. I mean, for clubs sort of like Derby with 32 Red, Kindred brand, that as an example, the Championship clubs are going to struggle, aren't they, for revenues? And if that's taken away, that could be a big thing.
And I think that especially during the pandemic, there've been a lot of, and especially in the UK, obviously, but here, there've been a lot of talks on TV of how people, that was their only relief, right? The sport, being able to, to meet some people outside, it had it played, a vital role in their mental well-being. And you probably know about our investment in Team Talk scheme, when we support men with their mental health, and also how we use a different way, innovative way, how we use athletes like Wayne Rooney or Carl Frampton to promote responsible gambling message. It's not just about putting them in front of the screen and say bet here, right? There is much bigger message out there that if used irresponsibly, right, it's a danger, but you need to be careful, and no one is protected from it. I think that is important message. Every human being has exactly the same problems, but if you're using the right operators, if you're choosing platforms properly, then there are tools available, and we are here to help you.
Okay, and just as a final question, really, we've talked a lot about your investment in Martech, different digital sponsorships, responsible gambling stuff you want to do. If you had to name just one key goal from your perspective for 2021, what might that be?
Oh, one. I can't name one. I can. I'll say one regulation, right? So we've got a few expansions happening in the area. So we've got Netherlands, an important market for us that we've been waiting for this regulation for years, and especially now working extremely hard on preparing for it. It's a lot of work that is happening, sort of a base work, groundwork prepares for the successful entering the market. Then we're talking about US, expansion in the US. So there was an interview with Manuel Stannard, our SMVP for US, really talking about our expansion plans and our long-term ambition to have our platform in the US as well. So that's a key investment for us. So that's the regulatory side, and then it's a technology. So the heavy focus for the next our new strategic cycle is to really focus on the UX, on the UX, to focus on marketing technology, on technology, and specifically marketing technology, to make sure that what we've got in our architecture is best of class. But also how we use it, because you can have the best technology out there, especially in marketing, but the way how you build your marketing strategy, you won't be utilizing the capability of this knowledge that you've got in your stack. So this is the focus, really, nailing down our our marketing strategy and maximizing the capability of this technology that we have in house.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for talking to us anyway. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Luke, for your time.
Thank you.